Welcome back to the Coruscant Invitational, everybody. We're just about to get underway with the top 8. We've got a couple exciting lists coming up for you, but before we do that, I think we're going to do a little bit of a giveaway.
It's prize time, X-Wingers.
Do you want to just go ahead and put hashtag XWing2 into the chat to enter?
What are they going to win? Tell us what they're going to win.
You're going to win a lovely X-Wing 2nd Edition core set if you're chosen. So,
no finer core set in the land.
So enter now. Looks like the chat is lighting up there.
Chat's blowing up,
Yep.
to be sure.
Only one entry per person. We should say this. So if you keep putting X-Wing 2 in the chat.
I mean, have fun, but it's not going to be any good.
It is very fun, though. Got a couple very exciting lists coming up here, Alex.
Indeed we do.
Looks like we have some more bombers.
We do.
And we've got a scum list that looks very interesting. A lot of ships in there. Got some quad jumpers. There's going to be some Z95s, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have some very interesting stuff on our hands.
And it looks like both the players might be taking advantage of the format. Imperials had to include Ruthless in their lists, and I believe we're going to have 3 instances of Ruthless here. And
yeah, I think they're actually going to play off of that upgrade rather than just slotting into their list as kind of a freebie. So that's pretty interesting.
And on the other side, Boba Fett was required for the scum lists. And we also have Tobias Beckett on one of the ships here. So we might see Tobias Beckett moving around some obstacles before the start, and Boba Fett going on that obstacle and kind of getting up in someone's face right away.
Thank you, and Lukasz.
Well, we'll have, I guess obstacle placement's going to be pretty crucial here, considering Boba and Tobias in combination. And then we're going to, once we get these obstacles down, we're going to see a lot of ships get deployed.
Yep, and just to kind of go over some of the data here on the top 8, we are looking at an Imperial-dominated field for the most part. There are still 5 Imperial lists remaining, but the Scum are still in it with 2 lists, and the Rebels are clinging to hope with 1 final list. That's the list that we saw streaming yesterday, lost to Jesper with the Fangs, but just eked out a win on the rematch. So that will be sailing into the final match. That'll be going up against Rexler Brath and Darth Vader. Another matchup we've got here, we've got Mankit. We've seen him on the stream. He's up against Chris Norris. So his Whisper Redline Major Vermeil build will be up against Double Punisher, Death Rain, Redline, Captain Jonas, and a Scimitar Squadron pilot, seeing some really strong bomb lists in the meta. Moving on, we've got Thomas's. We saw him last time. We saw Sunterfell, Redline, and Darth Vader. That is going to have to go up against the aces of the Scum. Kevin Lau's Fenrau, Paolo Gadalhi, Guri list will give Vader and Suntir a run for its money. And finally, we have the match before us. William Haigwood versus Lukasz, Golonka. We're going to see Bomb City up against Swarm City. We've got so many ships on the board. Looks like the Scum setting up on the left side of the screen there. They have a very fascinating list. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we're gonna have a couple Z95 headhunters, a couple pirates. Then we're gonna have Drea Renthal with her Y-wing and a dorsal turret. We're gonna see an escape craft alone outside of the Millennium Falcon.
That's right.
Piloted by L337 with Tobias Beckett
That is
on
a popular choice. Beckett,
Yes.
of course, allows the movement of one of those obstacles. So we can, and of course, Boba Fett is also hanging out. So we'll see where he chooses to utilize Boba Fett. I would suspect he's going to be on one of those Jakku gun runners to start the tractor beam shenanigans as quickly as he can.
Absolutely.
That's a cool combination, Boba Fett and Tobias Beckett. You can really pull some unexpected maneuvers with that.
For sure. Yep, yeah, and rounding out that list, as you kind of pointed out, we have 3 Jakku gun runners on some quadrajets there. So
those tractor tugs, they are no joke.
Yep.
They are really no joke.
Yeah, we're gonna see some interesting stuff here. I think we're gonna see a lot of tractoring this game, going up against some bombs. So
yes, indeedy.
A lot of different tokens that you might not otherwise see, or we might not have seen thus far on the stream.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if we would see that sort of scum swarm. We've seen a rebel swarm yesterday. We saw the 6 crack shot Talus Squadron Z95s plus Leia. That list was knocked out before the top 8, but had a really good run day 1. We've seen, of course, a couple different Imperial swarms, TIE fighters and bombers, and now we got swarm on swarm. We've got this 7-ship scum swarm up against a bomber list. It's going to be a really interesting match.
And they're going to be doing, some scum stuff here. You're going to have, the tractors with the quadrajets. You're going to have the escape craft in there, I think is a really interesting choice.
Absolutely. The ever-popular Colonel Jendon supporting those bombers.
Yep. And, right off the bat, as we've kind of pointed out a couple times with the combo of Boba Fett and Tobias Beckett, they're going to be able to do some crazy stuff in just terms of setup and right from the get-go.
Yeah, if you want to put a focus token down, no, I want a target lock, or no, I want a barrel roll.
Oh.
That's
so we do have a winner for the Coruscant.
Morpheus
333 is the
Morpheus
lucky
333.
Morpheus. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes.
On your win and your creative spelling of Morpheus.
Yes. Sorry, I kind of pronounced that wrong. Morpheus? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it's Morpheus.
Yeah.
What do you get when you pay your bills late? Morpheus.
Exactly.
It was weak, but thank you for the pity. The pity comment. Here we have that sneaky gun runner doing a little bit of pre.
Yep, where is he going to be? Okay, we're just right out there.
I love it. I love it. That's exactly where you want those space tugs. Throwing people onto rocks. We saw that used with devastating effectiveness earlier on the stream. Yesterday we had kind of an MVP Jakku gun runner with Boba Fett. Same situation, clogging up those lanes, causing problems, reducing agility. Really a value buy for the Scum faction. I think we're seeing a lot of diversity, but we're also seeing some creme de la creme.
Absolutely.
And I think the Scum Hawk, very popular choice. L337 we've seen a number of times, a good price on that ship. And the Jakku Gunrunner, of course, a staple. I haven't seen Drea yet, but I'm glad to see her. She, of course, benefits from ships that do not have names. So
yes.
the generic Gunrunners will be able to trigger her ability, which is awfully nice. She's a quality choice.
Which one?
For 44 points there with just the dorsal turret.
Oh, okay.
A nice ship. And using all 200 points, no bids on either side, maxing it out.
Yep, it's going for broke here. Now, Alex, do you think, I believe that the 2 Gamma Squadron aces and Major Rhymer in this list all have Ruthless on them?
Oh, yes.
Do you think we're going to see, they all have good amount of hull, so they can take those hits.
I think it's going to depend, I think you Ruthless if you think you can get a kill shot.
Sure.
But otherwise, you don't actually want to be trading points for points with this Scum Swarm because William's list out-hulls even this fearsome Imperial build, which is impressive because there's a lot of hull on the Imperial side of the table. So I think, yes, you do use Ruthlessness, absolutely, but you use it situationally. You use it if you need to guarantee a kill. If you can stop one of those quadrajet transfer space tugs in its tracks, I think that's worth taking a little bit of hull damage. But you don't want to just be using it at every opportunity. You want to be strategic with that upgrade.
Yeah, they're going to
want. So I really like this opening with these quad jumpers. I think that's going to be a pretty interesting fight. Now the hard flank for the Imperials might also pay off. They may be able to wing in on the fringes here and start deleting some ships.
Just everybody's focused in.
So just to remind players who are tuning into the stream, the Coruscant Invitational format is a little bit different than a normal 200-point extended tournament.
Hopefully I move first,
the users of Twitter, the X-Wing fans online voted on an upgrade for each of the factions that must be included in that faction's list. However, that upgrade costs 0 squad points. So we've got Ruthless on all these Gamma squadrons. And over on the other side of the board, we have Boba Fett crew on the furthest ahead quad jumper, combined with Tobias Beckett's obstacle moving powers. That's going to allow that quad jumper to get up into the fray a little bit faster. So a little bit of a wrinkle on today's competition. Pretty fun format. We've seen some really interesting stuff, and we've seen how useful that Boba Fett crew can be, just hiding in those asteroids with the engines powered down, waiting for the right moment to come into the fight.
I really do love just how thematic that upgrade is. It's a lot of fun, and like as you just pointed out, we're kind of seeing some really nice uses of it here. Just kind of get up a little bit farther, kind of put a little bit more pressure on your opponent.
Yeah, you can do some really fun things with it, and combined with Beckett and the Space Tug Tractor Array ability, you can really punish ships for getting too close to these obstacles. I think we're going to see some interesting stuff go down in that respect. Now, this is interesting. The bombers are choosing to turn in a lot sooner than I maybe would have expected.
Yeah.
Actually, I was wondering if they were going to go a little bit further straight and then turn in later, but they are perhaps going for the honorable joust here. They have the ordnance to win that joust,
sure.
So there's no reason not to try to get some nice range 3 shots. That really favors the bomber list for sure.
And who's on the Lambda? We got Colonel Jenda on there, so be able to get some target locks a little bit earlier than they might otherwise.
Yep. That is such a strong title on the Lambda class shuttle. Really, really helpful for these bomber lists. Now, Jenden's not the cheapest pilot either. He's 46 points. That's a pretty significant investment. But what it allows you to do is it allows you to actually come through with those bombers you might otherwise have difficulties acquiring locks with. Now, one of the things that I really like about Lucas's list here, I love that he's got Reimer with just cluster missiles.
Yes.
The cool thing about that is Reimer's ability, he can bump with Reimer and still get cluster missiles off. He can throw cluster missiles out to range 3.
Yes.
And that is pretty neat. You might expect to see Jonas for his rerolls in a list like this, but Reimer's going to have more flexibility. Reimer's going to have a really interesting ability to really throw out that cluster missile damage. So I think that's a very cool feature to this list. Obviously, it's been doing work for him this tournament. He's made it all the way to the top 8, and that's impressive.
Seems like a very helpful thing against any kind of swarm list, the cluster missiles.
Yeah, I think they're really going to pay off for Reimer here, and the fact that the bombers now have reload means that it's possible Reimer will even, not super likely, but it's possible that Reimer can disengage after spending all of those charges and come back into the fight with more missiles later on down the road. But I suspect he's just going to do as much Alpha Strike damage as he possibly can and really try to put the pressure on this list. Now, the thing that the Imperials really have to watch out for is anytime they're in danger of getting rolled onto an obstacle, they have the issue of losing, you lose a lot if you're a bomber on an asteroid. You lose your shot, you lose your action, you might take a crit. So Space Tug Tractor Array, that is an extremely good counter to bomber lists. But it looks like Lukasz has anticipated this and is approaching this fight from a position where he's, worst case scenario, maybe going to be rolled onto a debris cloud, which is something you can live with, versus an asteroid, which is something that really, really hurts. So this will be really interesting to see how this plays out. I think the Empire needs to take out some ships on this opening pass to really even the playing field a little bit. Now, Lukasz is going into this match very strong. He is the only undefeated player in the entire tournament remaining. So bombers are on top of this particular tournament's little mini meta.
Let's move this to as well, because this one will target lock. This one will target lock, and this one will target lock as well, yeah?
Okay.
But I don't want to remove all the ships because if you...
No, that's fine.
Fine.
Got these bombers coming in here. Looks like we
Well,
are
you can
going to
wait on
have
his
some
action. You don't have to take his action now.
shooting going on here in just a couple minutes.
Okay, so just moving the locks to this Z.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we are definitely going to see some carnage in this opening engagement. Here come the proton torpedoes. You know, it's interesting. A lot of people favor barrage rockets on bombers, but we have not seen barrage rockets in these top lists. We've seen bombers sporting torpedoes for that stronger attack. Barrage rockets are great if you can stay in the fight, but proton torpedoes are actually the favored bomber ordnance upgrade, at least so far.
Yeah, thus far, the proton torpedoes have been a lot more predominant. I've seen a couple lists with the barrage rockets, but a lot more proton torpedoes for sure.
Well, this isn't the only bomber list that's in the fray either. There's another bomber list on a different table. And we got some double Punisher lists. Yeah, there's a Red Line Death Rain Scimitar Squadron pilot list. That's Chris Norris's list. He is rocking the barrage rockets on the Scimitar. So we will see if any bomber builds advance past this cut. But there's 2 still in the fight. So that's a nice, healthy sign that there's multiple quality options out there for ordnance builds.
Yeah, it's real nice to see the bombers in here using a lot of different kind of ordnance. Like we said, we have a lot of proton torpedoes, but barrage rockets are an excellent option as well.
We also see cluster missiles, which is a neat choice. You don't see that a lot. And I think one of the interesting things about this list, he's stripped this down as low as it can go, right? He has 2 gammas with proton torpedoes and Ruthless to ensure those devastating alpha strikes, but he managed to squeeze Reimer in with cluster missiles by dropping down from proton torps to cluster missiles. That's exactly enough points to upgrade into Major Reimer from a Gamma Squadron. So that gives you a higher initiative bomber, that gives you some more flexibility, and it gives you a pretty cool ability to fling out range 3 cluster missiles, which is a lot of fun. That can be used to finish off a ship, to put out those initial bits of damage. It's quite a strong ability.
Here we go.
And here it comes.
Would you like to reroll all of it?
Yep, in the box.
Target lock.
Okay. Pretty rough.
You didn't have a range on anybody else?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right, not a great start
I didn't
for
have a shot, so
the ordnance list, but probably not taking too much fire in return.
Target lock.
A little bit better there.
Oh, yeah. Nastier, to be sure.
Those 3
We'll see if
crits
the
in
Z,
there.
well, that's a pretty good roll for the
Yeah.
Z. Not too bad. So
number 2 is
loses its shields but doesn't take a crit. That's huge. And remember, there's a lot of bodies on the scum side of the battle. They rounded up every scumbag with a pulse, threw him in a rusty old ship, and sailed him into battle. That is the scum way. That is how you do.
focus there.
So puts a crit on the gun runner. So, some damage coming through, but nothing devastating so far. I think if I was the scum player in this situation, I would not be too unhappy about this initial result.
Yeah, that's not too bad, especially with the number of ships that...
Now, if this Lambda polishes off the Z, things are a little bit less attractive, and that does look like that's what's going to happen. That's what happens when you're able to push through those tokens.
Sure, yep.
So him losing a Z95, that's getting things a little closer to where I'd hope they would be if I was in Lukasz's shoes.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, that was direct hit.
And direct hit.
Check out those crits. Kablamo.
Do you agree that I see you?
So just confirming they're playing very carefully and very politely. That's the way to do it. You just engage with your opponent, make sure everything's on the up and up. Play nice and clean and don't miss any triggers.
1 damage on this one that was shot at from the missile, correct? Yep. All right.
Payback time.
The reprisal. Here it comes.
From
range
the
2, or,
escape
L3.
craft.
The escape
Yes.
craft. Bopping 2 little dice. But you know, sometimes,
I'm gonna get that damage.
sometimes that's all you need. Pew pew. And we got another shot here from the Z95.
Range 3 from that Z.
One crit. Bombers need some
There
love.
it
There
is,
we
yeah.
go. That helps. So the bombers are, you know, they're in that dangerous space where without any shields, any little crit that sneaks through can be quite
Yes.
quite devastating. So we're gonna roll the console fire. Does not catch this ship on fire.
Yeah, I have one. It's supposed to remind me.
Lukasz very good at remembering these triggers. He seems really sharp. He seems really on the ball here. 1 damage, 1 evade. So this is actually going pretty well for the Imperial player. But next round, I think, is where the Scum will have their chance to shine as those tractor tugs get into the mix. It is going to be very difficult, I think, for Lukasz to avoid some very nasty tractor beaming. And Drea, once that stuff gets into range 1, can really bring her heavy weapons into bear.
And remind me real quick. All right, so with the space tugs, I'm going to try and use the tractor ability. What makes them a little bit special?
Well, the space tug tractor is very, very powerful. It's one of the only sources of non-shooting based tractor beaming in the game.
Yes.
And tractor tokens are very powerful. The space tug tractor array allows the ship to, at range 1, apply a tractor token to an enemy ship. So if it's trying to tractor beam small ships, no problem. Just has to get into range 1 and do an action. And when you get a tractor token as a small ship, your opponent, the tractor beaming ship, the space tugs, can barrel roll you or boost you forward. And what that lets you do is it lets you roll them onto asteroids to deny them shots, cost them actions and do damage, and it also reduces their agility by 1 if they have any amount of tractor tokens. And the space tugs have another neat trick, which is that in the bullseye arc they actually apply 2 tractor tokens. So a couple space tugs working together can actually move that lambda.
Oh, okay.
If they can get both of them, if they can get 2 tractor beams lined up, and if one of them has a bullseye arc, they can actually put enough tractor tokens out to barrel roll the lambda around. So that's actually pretty powerful. They're stronger in numbers because they can kind of swarm you. Now this is a classic Scum move that they just bolted some guns onto what is essentially the Star Wars equivalent of a tugboat. But I can't think of anything more scummy than that, and it's fun to see them on the table.
Yes, yeah. So we can maybe expect to see, getting into range 1 here with those space tugs, get some tractor tokens on the board.
This is going to be a big round, and it looks like these bombers are coming in hard. Or no, this is the Scum player moving those tugs. Yep, see, that's where you want that tractor beam tug to be. You want them blocking up the middle of the road there, rolling ships around, performing that kind of tricky stuff. Now, this is rather interesting. He has elected not to use the tractor array. Instead, he has barrel roll. He must have a deeper plan for this to try to screw this formation up, because he could have right there rolled that bomber onto an asteroid.
Just 1.
So now I think comes the tractor beaming. Potentially.
Yep, I see him reaching for that token.
There it is.
Range 1.
Tractor beam.
Yep, so just this guy. We'll tractor beam him.
Tractor beaming that bomber. Maybe gets him on that debris field. That's nice because you can cost him a target lock. Such utility in that kind of scummy trick. And if he's lucky, he'll get a damage through too, if he rolls a crit. So now we see, does the debris cause any damage?
Does not.
No.
You don't have to re-roll it. If you roll it on the mat, just pick it up and put it in the tray.
But we decided to...
Oh, you already made it.
We decided that box...
Only box rolls will count for this
Okay.
match. The
All
players
right.
came to an agreement. Must be rolled in the box.
Gentleman's agreement here.
That certainly works. As long as both players are on board.
It just gets like...
So this is where things start really get interesting. Getting those tractor tokens out there.
Yeah, this is very interesting indeed. Very interesting stuff.
Trying to prevent the bombers from getting those target locks to use their ordnance.
Got Swarm City up in here. Exciting stuff.
Focus.
I will target lock.
See, that is a perfect example of how close this game can be. Because if that tractor tug had been able to pull that block off, he would have cost a target lock action. But instead, Drea's going to face the full fury of that proton torpedo. So went for the block and just missed it by an inch. I think in retrospect, perhaps would have preferred a tractor beam, although I think he was clearing the way to do a little maneuvering there.
Sure.
Oh, we got coordinate. Here's where things get awesome. So L337 can use the white coordinate action, or the red coordinate action actually, because there's no tactical officer, but he can use the coordinate action to trigger that tractor array in a later phase. Now, unfortunately, he's not going to be able to roll him onto that rock, so that proton torpedo is still going to have a chance to go off. But if Drea is able to barrel roll out of the way, he may be able to dodge that danger. And he's going to send him through that obstacle next turn. That is what makes these tractor beam tugs so impressive, so dangerous, and so hard to play against.
Easily a main check.
Those bombers really kind of want to go in for Drea there.
Well, there's a lot of good targets, right? L337 is a strong choice. Drea is a big gun, and those tractor tugs couldn't be more annoying. So.
But it doesn't matter. It's a bump here, yeah?
Okay.
So slight out of order sequence there, but fortunately does not affect anything.
And rolling that bomber kind of clogged up the lane there for the Lambda.
Okay. Sorry. That's no worries. Like I said, it's the whole. I haven't made a decision yet, so it really doesn't matter to me.
So we got some nice, some gentlemanly play here, allowing the game state to be corrected, even though they missed that initiative order. And the quad jumpers, of course, have a lot of interesting tricks in their arsenal. They have a reverse maneuver, which can really throw people off. And a 2 reverse, and then they have reverse banks as well. So really powerful little ship, and a lot of fun to fly.
I believe that's what happened with that quad jumper that's in the back there.
Yep.
Reverse last turn.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about that is he's got a quad jumper bringing up the rear, and you've kind of got this layered defense, right?
Yes.
Anything that slips through the net of the first 2 quad jumpers can get tractor beamed by the rear one. So quite strong. We got.
Okay, sorry.
So just tracking those crits, making sure everything's on the up and up.
This is
Drea getting her bonus.
range 2. So we'll go there.
Dorsal turret.
Sorry, 1 dice.
Yes, tractor. Got it?
And blocks it.
Block it. Yep.
Good
Air
roll.
Force. Air 4.
Major Reimer, cluster missile skill.
Yep. Looks good.
Target lock.
Wow.
Reimer
Oh, man.
not bringing it home.
As well.
However, he does have those cluster missiles, so he gets another.
Shoot to Drea, the second one.
Oh,
He
okay.
gets another shot.
Shoot at
So,
Drea here. Yep.
oh, he's
Oh.
just not rolling well. That's really
Ruthless.
unfortunate.
I don't have
Oh, no, there's no one ever range 1 on Drea.
So unfortunate. Yeah, you need to have better dice than that when you set up a nice shot.
target lock.
Number 3.
God damn it.
There.
There we go.
Yep.
All right, finally, a little cursing to get those dice to cooperate.
Had to threaten him a little bit. Yeah.
Then they turned up.
Shields, and the crit is
That is a better result.
might be real
Got a
bad
few
all of a
leaks.
sudden.
So unfortunately,
On Drea.
Drea's taken some hurt. Smart to try to take that piece off the board. That's a power piece. So here things are turning around for Lukasz here.
Yep, there we go.
We see the dice variance evening out quite a bit. Reimer whiffed, but his squadron is doing him proud.
5. I gotta get a blank kills me.
All right, needs paint.
Nope, I gotta focus.
Ooh, yep.
So Drea survives for one more round, but that's very painful.
Hit, hit. No, I evaded one.
Okay, sorry. Hit.
And then
Crit.
So there will be a crit.
What is
in
it going to
there.
be?
wounded. Fuel leak triggers.
Uh-oh, so
Okay,
Repairs.
and you take another crit.
Yep.
Nope, and
Uh-oh.
another crit. Okay, so
And you are
oh,
One 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's enough.
Yep, that's enough for Drea.
That's those
there,
crit
yep.
chains. Those crit chains can be absolutely lethal. One of the advantages of having that, multi-crits in your roll with the proton torpedoes. Yeah.
Nice one for
Major
to
hull
lay it
breach
out there
can be
for us.
absolutely devastating.
Oof. And Lambda will shoot here for the one that.
So looking pretty grisly for the Scum, losing a big power piece like that. But luckily, not every roll was that devastating.
Yes.
And the Scum will certainly have a chance for some reprisals here.
Range 1, or it's your 2 technically, but I don't think there's range now because of the tractor.
Out of range.
So, range 1 onto that bomber.
L3 trying to do some work here. Nothing but eyeballs and a blank.
Very unfortunate.
Yep. My 1s then.
Range 3.
Yep, range 3. One crit.
Puts a crit through.
After when I perform attack, 1 fewer attack dice.
A weapons failure. Okay.
Looks like a weapons failure on, what was it, one of the bombers?
I believe so,
That
yeah.
was-
The
that was
one
him.
farthest down
He's gonna
here.
remove his token so we remember. So then we have, I'll do the console fire one before I forget. Console fire.
There we go.
Damages him.
Console fire came back to
And then
hurt him a little bit
Yeah,
there.
these crits are
he
wrecking the
will
Scum.
Yeah.
Shoot at Reimer is down.
No. This is only to damage you.
No, you have spent 3 clusters so far.
Yeah, exactly.
How many is 2 shot?
None.
None?
Non torpedoes. He got 2 torpedoes, he got 1
Oh, okay.
energy, and that's it.
Checking those charges, see
Yeah, I'll take the range
what
one.
ordnance is
onto,
left on the table.
this
Because of
guy.
course these bombers, they do diminish in power after they have fired off their magazines. So another damage through.
Punch through
Not
the
getting
damage.
huge rolls for the Scum, but he is chipping away at those
And
bombers.
He'll shoot at range 1 at this guy.
And we do have a chance to put some hurt on here, especially with that low agility. Just one die.
Yeah, just because you were trying to roll 2. I would want you
Yeah.
just to try to roll 1.
All right, 2.
So 2 hits.
Chipping away at that hull on those bombers,
Then the
though.
last shot is the Z here, and he will shoot at
This is going to be one of the bloodiest
So,
battles we've seen on
yeah, I
stream,
think
I'm
so.
sure.
2, 1, and 2. Is that correct? All right, he'll take the range 1 onto the tractor beam to get 1.
Somebody, we did see somebody run out of damage cards earlier. It might happen again here.
This is true.
All right, that was it.
Pretty
Wow.
eventful there.
Yep, he's spread the damage out on those bombers, but unfortunately he's lost his Z and Drea.
Yes.
So not a great trade so far, but he has weathered the first storm, and the bombers are, of course, running lower on ordnance tokens.
Yep.
So this is one of those fights where if the Scum can hang in there long enough, I think they can start turning the tables. But losing Drea hurts a lot. That's a power piece. And just by one damage, too, if it kept Drea on the table, they could have started using her ability to really hammer these bombers now that they're all in the mix here. So good target priority for Lukasz, understanding the biggest threat and taking it off the board.
So now that we've had this kind of opening engagement here, the bombers have used some of their proton torpedoes. Where can we kind of expect to see things go from here? Do you think he's going to try and use these tugs, or?
I mean, I think the tugs have some interesting options, right? They can do reverses, but if they do, they don't want to be stressed because using their tractor beams is the best part of them. But they can try for some blocks. He's got another tractor tug coming in from the back to be able to.
I moved that one out of the way. I dodged that shot.
No, I still saw you. This fell.
Really? I don't know. I don't know about that.
So the bombers will have to fly through the rock there. That's good. That takes the pressure off, at least a little bit. No ordnance coming from that particular bomber. But yeah, the scum really needs to have a good turn here to make up for this deficit.
And as you pointed out, we do have the quad jumper in the back here, kind of pulling up the rear. Can still get in there and mix it up a little bit, maybe tractor some bombers. All depends on what we're going to see in terms of maneuvers here.
Whenever you feel ready.
A lot of dials down on the table there.
Yep, I'm ready. Let's do this Z first. He's gonna try to 3K.
I think it's a bump, but I may be wrong. May fit like right in there.
Gonna try the 3K.
We are gonna mark some ships here. Do a little of that X-wing surgery that these top tables are so famous for.
Gonna mark off a couple of them here.
Fingers
clear
down.
out the way.
You need at least 3 hands sometimes with this game.
This is why I can't do high-level X-wing right here. I'd probably bump
it's
everything.
Like it's got this sort of sub-game of operation.
Yeah. Oh, so close. I don't think he's going to make it, is he?
Let's check. I think the nubs may cause the bump.
Risk the 4 into the debris.
Yeah, is he going to make it? We will see.
So just
doesn't look like it.
move up.
Yep, just going to bump right into
Attempted
that.
3K equals a stress and no turnaround.
This quad jumper is just going to go 1 forward. Sure. I'll just push him.
Go for it. Okay. Come on.
He bumps. That is. This guy is going to reverse.
Oh, here we go. Here we got the reverse.
Such a cool maneuver.
Sure.
Reverses kind of scare me. I've never actually used a ship that has reverse on it. I'm like, oh, man.
Well, there's not too many that do,
Yeah.
but the Space Tug is one of them. It's unique like that. The Sheathipede can as well.
And action.
With 45 minutes left, there's
tractor beam.
plenty of time to do this
Tractor beam
kind
to Z.
of.
Oh, he's gonna
Yeah, you
tractor
can
his
tractor
own
beam
ship?
your own
Yeah.
ships, which is of course a neat trick to help clog those lanes.
My one is
So flexible. So this is so cool because the coordinate, tractor beam yourself.
Why do I have to go backwards? Because it's not.
I thought you meant like I would have to go backwards this way. Let's move that Z out of the way.
Alrighty. Very nice.
It's kind of
Very nice.
clogging it up for those
was
bombers
my-
there.
Absolutely. See, this is where the scumless can try to shine. You know, the bombers got their licks in. They got that first blood, but now they're gonna be facing a turn where they just don't have much ordnance on the table. So this might be the time that Scum is able to turn things around. That being said, there's a lot of 3-dice shots coming from those bombers, and they're still pretty good ships. They have a lot of hull.
Thank you.
Really just a quality ship all around.
As long as, like I said, as long as it's consistent. I don't know.
For everybody. Good fit, yeah.
L3 also here, just inching forward.
Looks like it's going to have enough room to coordinate, though. That's pretty darn cool. Maybe roll that bomber onto a rock.
I want to coordinate to this quad jumper.
Heck yeah, coordinate tractor beam is such a cool
tractor
trick.
beam to
Yeah.
Reimer.
Poor Reimer, hurled through space. The Imperials are concerned about this unorthodox combat doctrine they're facing. They're just trying to enforce galactic law. Is that so wrong? Ship down.
Go backwards.
I am. Okay. Cool.
Alrighty.
What's this?
So, me now?
That was my 2, yes.
Very interesting.
This is this fellow. Could you just take this quad jumper?
Yep.
From the other side if you can.
Okay.
Make a little
try to
room
do the
here.
magic trick.
Trying to thread the needle here.
Because this is the range 5.
Yep.
Yep, and so experienced players know that the range 5 ruler is the same length as certain maneuvers, so you can use it as a substitute if both players agree.
Will bump.
Yep.
This one.
I'm a little surprised he didn't try to roll Reimer onto that asteroid, but perhaps he
bit,
wants
So
to
now,
keep Reimer
first of all, we
bumping.
have to take this free away. Yeah.
Oh, it's tricky business when you've got so many ships on the board.
Yes.
I was marking
Can
them
get a
off
little
as well.
congested there, for sure. Well, we're having some pretty amazing.
A little bit of bumping is
Yeah.
inevitable at this level with this many ships on the board.
I feel like we're seeing some really good flying here, though, for all the traffic that they have down.
Oh, definitely. No, these are top-level players
So
for
it's
sure.
almost
Yeah, you can just eyeball it. It's fine.
like this.
There you go. Bump, bump, bump. I'm going to try to burn down Reimer. Get a little revenge for Drea.
So shooting.
Drea Renthal, pirate leader.
Yeah.
Any good Imperial knows you cut the head off the snake.
Yes. Yep.
But that's not going to stop all these generic scumbags.
They're
They
going
still have the stalwart leadership of L337
Yep.
I
to
didn't
depend
make any
on.
decisions
Leading that
since
revolution.
so-
Lieutenant pirate captain.
Yes.
Promoted to pirate leader.
Major
Taking
Reimer.
over the Renthal gang.
Yep. Maybe this was all just like a play to, to take over the leadership
be.
of the pirates. Who
Could
knows?
be.
I have to think about it.
It's on to number 3.
Seems like a scum thing to do, right?
Takes the damage to the hit. Okay, he's got 1. Thanks. That is shield damage card.
This fellow here. The binary pirate. I got 1 shield.
Yeah, he's done. Oops.
Take out
Another Z goes
yeah.
down. Yeah, this
I
is
thought I'd get some
not.
blocks with that at least. Didn't work out.
This is not going so great for the scum swarm
Golonka
here.
will shoot this Draco Gunner.
Imperial discipline looks like it's paying off, especially with rolls like that.
Yes.
Crits for days. That helps. Hey,
Ooh, there
that's
you
a
go.
that's a
what
good
he
break.
needed.
Good job.
I thought it was just giving. Oh man, evaded both my crits. All right.
Concede.
Yep.
Funny.
That's number 3.
Just die.
Oh goodness.
2 will kill him. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's going pretty poorly for the scum.
Do I see anything?
Oh yeah, there's not quite as many ships out there as there was at the beginning,
Oh, yeah.
and we still have the same number of Imperial ships. So.
Do I have arc on Reimer?
I think Golonka is going to continue his undefeated streak here.
You did.
Yep. Range 1. Ship.
No.
1.
Ah,
Oh,
Reimer is invincible.
so give me health count on.
it's not going well for
on the
the
on
scum.
This one.
2 HP left.
All right, so we'll shoot here to here then. Range 1.
word reached the Empire of their
1 hit.
raiding operations.
1.
And Reimer's squadron was
He
sent
has
out
just 1 health
to
left
take care of
then.
business.
Yep.
You know, part of the problem is just the pilots or the initiative differential. You know,
That's true. Yeah.
Got it.
especially as you get down.
I killed him.
Having that lower initiative with all of your ships means that you're losing stuff before it can even fire.
Yep.
And that makes such a huge difference. And, you know, Colonel Jendon can come in there, put out 4 dice attacks. Even if the bombers aren't getting their ordnance off, they can still get range 1 3 dice attacks. They're beefy. They're really bargain priced at the moment. So I think we're seeing just how strong bombers can be in expert hands.
And losing Drea so early.
That was really unfortunate. I think could have gone very differently had Drea been on the table. But I still think even if Drea was still around, the Empire would be doing better. They just had a stronger approach. William did some really cool tractor beam tricks, but he didn't get the death blows that you need. He wasn't able to put them on the rocks and keep them there. He was able to fling them around a little bit, deny a few shots, but in the end, I don't think it was enough. He wasn't able to disrupt that bomber formation quite enough, and Lukasz's rolls really came through with those proton torpedoes. Cluster missiles were a whiff, a couple other whiffs, but it came through where it counted, which was proton torpedoes triggering those brutal crit chains.
Yep. He also got a couple just nice shots in at range 1 with the primary weapon.
Yeah, absolutely. His positioning is strong. He was able to deliver that opening salvo and follow it up with just, the bomber still got a pair of lasers that can really, do some damage. And as this formation splits apart, the bombers can come back in and get more torpedoes off to finish the job. So I think Lukasz is in a really strong position here. I don't think there's a lot that William can do about it at this point. He just doesn't have enough ships left on the board.
No.
Double tractor because of bullseye. And Brent, can you barrel a large base for us?
But I need 3 to be barrel.
Oh, it is 3 to barrel.
Unfortunately.
Oh, well, you would be correct, sir.
Yep, too big. That land is
I
just
did it.
too
Yep.
big.
If you want, you can take it back. You let me.
Yeah, I've been tractor beaming medium bases.
Yep. So here's the one of
I don't
the
want to do it then if 3 doesn't
advantages,
Thank
but
you.
letting him take it back, that's very nice. So tractor beam rules have changed a little bit in second edition. You can barrel roll medium and large ships now or boost them with tractor beam, but it's not hard. It's not easy to do. You got to get, like we were saying earlier, multiple tractors on target if you want to move a massive ship like the Lambda, which is understandable. It outmasses that quad jumper by quite a
Absolutely.
bit.
Pretty neat that he was able to get in there and put 2 tractor tokens on there, even though it didn't really make a difference, but
No, that shuttle has been money this round.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been providing target locks. It's been doing damage. It's been blocking lanes. I think we're seeing that the Lambda shuttle is really a top ship these days.
it is, yeah.
It's an interesting place for something to be that has a dial that bad. Really requires great planning and a great approach, but if you do it right, you know, the shuttle is discounted hugely because it has to compensate for that wretched dial.
Absolutely.
But if you play it well, you're really leveraging the advantage of having that much power for that great of a price. Not to mention Jendon's pilot ability just synergizes with bombers so well.
I feel like, yeah, we've seen a lot of Imperial lists that make use of the Lambda in a lot of different ways.
Yep.
We've seen Jendon a couple times. This one is just Jendon on his own, just 46 points, but we've seen a lot of different shuttles with a lot of different crew and a lot of different upgrades on them that have done just a lot of different things. So.
Yeah. And I think we're going to see a cleanup operation for these bombers here. They outshoot these scum. This was a surgical Imperial mission. Seek and destroy these pirates.
And they brought the ships that they needed to get the job done as well.
They did. They had a really good approach vector. Reimer, it's not Reimer's first rodeo.
First off, Reimer here.
He brought the best of the best too. He brought his aces.
Yes.
Gamma Squadron
Yeah.
boys.
Then Lambda to this piglet. Yeah.
Scimitar, he could just come and hang out.
Oh my
too.
goodness. And Jendon is a star this game, really putting the hurt on.
We're going to take the crit anyways.
Dang.
And there's another range 1 coming from 2. Yeah, I got to spend it on D there. So it just takes 1 crit. Structural damage.
Structural damage.
Yep.
And focus yourself.
These guys are being very nice, helping us out a lot by putting
Absolutely.
those crits in the dice tray camera for us.
Absolutely.
This will be ruthlessness.
Now, this is a very clean game, and I think we appreciate that.
So I won't die. I won't die.
Only 1 die. Sorry.
Oh, reduced agility. Correct. Sorry about that. It just happened. I'm losing it. All right. It takes 3. Sure. 1, 2, 3.
So this fellow and this fellow.
Yep. We'll start here. Nothing. And then
All right, well, we got another roll here. And an evade.
Yeah.
So hanging in there, but I think it's just a matter of time at this point.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I've been tractor beaming medium bases like that all day.
Yeah, I think a tractor beam onto that rock with the Lambda would have been huge, but of course, large ship just gives you that extra little bit of protection against tractor beams.
Yeah, just needed a little bit more of a boost in the tractor there.
Now, Reimer's full health, Jendon's barely scratched. Both Gammas the Gamma and the Scimitar are in pretty good shape. I don't know how many shots he's got left in the tubes, but I think there's some ordnance still floating around out there. I think it's looking pretty rough for the Scum at this point. The Quad Jumper really excels in the thick of things, but I think these bombers are going to be able to peel out and come back in on a different vector and start, really firing their last bits of ordnance to clean this stuff up. Now, it's not over yet. But one of those Jakku gun runners is clinging to one hull. And that's about it, right? He's got one full health gun runner, L337, and one almost dead gun runner. So I don't see him being able to claw his way out of a hole this deep at this point. Not with 32 minutes left in the match. I think there's going to be plenty of time to round up the last of these pirates.
Bring him in. Dead or alive here. But probably dead at this point.
William, though, great run. Awesome list.
Yeah.
Doing some hilarious obstacle shenanigans.
It is nice to see like that, different strategy going on there.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, and I love that he built around Drea. Like, you don't see that. This is the first Drea I've seen all tournament, but she's got that ability that really rewards you for taking, non-unique, non-limited ships.
Yeah.
And so that really sort of gets the whole, pirate leader theme across. And obviously, William has been using it very, very effectively today. Unfortunately, he met his match. You make enough waves in the Outer Rim, eventually the Empire sends in its best.
Exactly.
So my Lambda now? Yep.
But still, very impressive achievement, top 8 at Coruscant Invitational. As I said yesterday, as I've said today, these players are truly the best of the best in the world. Every single one of them has earned their spot in this tournament. So nobody just showed up here and tried to get lucky. Every single player won a major event, got that invitation. So there are no easy games, especially not now that we are into the top 8 here. Not a single easy round. And that Lambda, I think, was really well played because he was able to get a lot of rounds of 3-dice shots. That's unusual for a Lambda.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that makes the Lambda good against swarm lists. When you have that kind of target saturation and a good approach vector, you can get a lot of shots off with that Lambda before it's in a bad place. So yeah, target lock. A bit weak.
I have 1 HP and 1 agility, so you'll need to Ruthlessness to kill him. Ruthless?
All right.
There's the Ruthless.
There it is.
Right?
Yep, so we've seen Ruthless actually come in handy. Like I said, he wants to save it for kill shots.
Yep.
But it's there when you need it, and that's really cool.
And there we go. Yeah, exactly. Just like you said at the beginning.
Yep. So he's like, you don't do it willy-nilly, but it's, what it can do is it can ensure those kills, and if you're on top, it's one of those extend your advantage cards.
Absolutely.
If you're already winning, it's a win more card, and who doesn't want to win more?
Yep.
Especially in a tournament with margin of victory, especially when you can close the door on your opponent like that, and move on to get a little break before the next round. That can be huge. Just having the chance to clean up, rest up a little, have a little mental energy left for the top 2 or top 4 rather.
Yeah, start thinking about your strategy, who you might be going up against.
Absolutely.
Maybe check out some of the other tables.
Absolutely.
What's the damage count on both of these?
2 and 2.
Both 2 and 2.
Double check, yeah. 2 and 2.
So it looks like our screen is a little bit wrong. The Gamma Squadron actually has 2 damage cards on it, but I don't think it will make a ton of difference.
Just checking L3's arc to that bomber. You don't have to use that one. I just needed to do that.
But with nearly the full Imperial swarm back in business, it's just a cleanup operation at this point. Got a judge check.
Looks like it's out.
All right.
Just barely out.
Yeah, just barely out.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's out. 2 out?
Yep.
I didn't hear you. Out.
All right. Go shoot 2 at the shuttle then. Okay. Nothing.
Wouldn't have mattered.
And then last shot here. Right.
A lot of very tight arcs.
Yeah, real close shots.
Should I put my finger here? Will it help? Out, also out.
Oh. Bit of bad luck there for William.
Yep.
That's okay. As soon as this is 2 obstructed, 3, and
Out of range.
so.
Not a lot of good options for this shot here.
Oh, shoot it here then, obstructed.
Yep, he's going to have to take the obstructed shot. 2 hits, though. Yep.
I'm not going down without a fight.
I respect that.
There we go, yeah.
Never say
He's not going
die.
to give up.
Never say
I
die.
saw your rhymer blanks earlier. I mean, a couple more of those.
Chipping away at that scimitar, but it's slow going.
Sorry?
What is your right maneuvers?
Yeah, terrible maneuver dial.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Second worst one in the game. Lambda. Lambda's doesn't have the 3K.
He's a champion of the bad maneuvers.
And we got it, winding down here. I think the best William can hope for at this point is to maybe
Maybe take out a ship.
take out another bomber.
Take one of the Empire with him.
Yep.
That's a bold last stand for
Yep.
scum and villainy, you know.
Exactly.
You'll never take me alive,
Yep.
copper.
Yep. Going down, guns blazing here.
Well, here's the thing. They'll be singing the legend of Drea Renthal for years in the
Yes.
outer rim. She flew too close to the sun.
Yep.
And seriously, impressive run from William. I mean, I can't state that enough. This is a really cool list. He's flown it expertly all day, and he was just ever so slightly outmatched in this game by Lukasz's approach.
Yeah, couldn't quite disrupt enough with the tractorine.
It came so close. There was that turn where he almost had the block on the bomber.
Yep.
And had he gotten that block, Drea would have not faced a whole torpedo hit. It's, again, any little tiny thing can completely swing a game. And I think had he pulled that block off, which he was so close to doing, Drea would have lived another round. You maybe would have been able to put some more damage on those bombers. It could have been an entire game changer.
Yeah,
It's because things are exponential in this game. Once things start snowballing, you lose ships. You don't have as many on the table. So especially in those early rounds, the difference between losing a ship and not losing a ship has such a ripple effect over the entire game. Because every round you're not firing at that ship, things are getting further and further skewed against you.
Yeah, those like millimeters away from that block there. Yep.
That's
That was
right.
not correct.
We're seeing the results here.
Yeah, that's fine. It didn't work out.
Uh-oh.
know.
Onto a rock. So it looks like Scum's just totally falling
Yep.
apart at this point.
Just trying to fling themselves into rocks.
Thanks.
Not going to give the Lambda the satisfaction.
Unfortunate. And it's going to be a crit, too, to
Oh,
add
no.
insult to injury here. But he's not conceding. He will not throw in the towel, and I respect that. I do respect that.
Focus. Sorry.
Sorry, I think this is over anyway. We'll finish the round, but
Yeah, pretty much.
And we are kind of seeing one of the drawbacks of trying to fit all those ships in here. He does have
Oh, yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ships in this list.
A
but,
lot of ships. A lot of
I mean,
ships.
5 of them are all initiative 1. So
Yep.
Major Rhymer probably
It's
doesn't see
true.
you.
It's true.
few of them, a good chunk of them, didn't even get a chance to shoot before.
Nothing.
Okay.
Range. This fellow, range 1. 1.
Some pretty soft attack dice, but at this point it doesn't really matter.
Range 2, I think.
Rear arc coming into play. Jendon has been aces this game,
He
just
has been,
blasting it away. I think that's a dead L337. Jendon for the win. This Lambda proving its metal.
All right.
I feel like it's just like
He's gonna get
gone
it done,
straight
man.
the entire game too.
You never see him pick it like this guy.
I like how chill both of these players are.
Yeah.
This is a very polite,
super brave. I guess we'll
wonderful.
have to go
It's
round
great
here.
to see this kind of thing at the top table. Just
Yeah.
people enjoying the game, having fun no matter what happens.
Yeah, we're in the top 8 here. These
least-
guys are just like having a good
At
time.
least this gun runner is not going down without a
Yep.
fight. There's another crit going through.
All right. Well, that helps out a little bit.
And the gun runner stands alone.
Ooh, panic
All right.
pilot.
Now we just gotta panic everybody else.
To the end of times.
I'll play. I'll do another round. Let's see what this gun runner can do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good work, William.
this guy. Yeah.
I don't wanna.
Respect for that.
Yep.
Cheat you out of your
Respect
victory
for that.
But
This
I
gun
think
runner's
it's
got
pretty
some
solid
moxie
so far.
here. He might be like outnumbered and outgunned, but it's not going to stop him. He's still got 5 hull, you know. He'll be around for a little bit.
Yep. We're gonna try to 3-bank here. Cover. That work? Can you put the rhymer back? See if, yep. Okay. I wasn't sure, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Jakku Gunrunner. At this point, this poor beleaguered tractor pile is probably just like, get me out of here.
The gun runner's gotta start.
I've made so many bad choices in my
Yes.
life.
Hooked up with some some pirates. That was a bad
Yep.
idea.
Well, somebody's going to be short a shipment
Yeah.
of guns, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Through this.
Okay.
So it stays. And nothing happens.
Oh, these are the defense.
Too bad.
And I think we're going to see some more ordnance deployed here,
Yep.
potentially. If there's, well, maybe not. There may not be any target locks on the table to do that with. Get that hard turn, stressing that shuttle out. And a soft bank to the left.
He's dodging shots, little dude. See what we can make of it. Do you have that time?
Here.
Let's see if this gun runner can
Marines won
stay in the
that
fight
counter
here.
then. 'Cause that's number.
We
the
shall
second
see.
card.
Come on, Gunrunner.
Yep, I'm rooting for him at this point.
2.
Hey, that's not bad.
1 takes 1.
Pushes one through.
It's chipping away. See?
Agonizingly slow,
Yes.
though, with those little 2-dice cannons, you know? No shot, though, so good work there.
Yep. Little gun runner that could over here.
The forces of law and order prevailing today.
Go for it.
Of course, you know there's just a wretched hive of scum and villainy out there somewhere,
Yep.
ready to pile into another set of ships. The cycle
Yeah.
continues.
They're not done.
No.
For sure.
No. It's a big galaxy. And there's money to be made. Credits to be made.
Nope. Might have a little bit of a vacuum here after all these pirates are down, so somebody's got to take it up.
Good. Tractor beam, and then if you barrel rolling forward there.
Sorry. So this is on rock.
All right, Jakku. Not
Not
going down without a fight. I respect
No,
that.
I think I blanked all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's having some
Yeah, that's
good-
true. There's
yeah.
there's been no obstacle damage, which is big. But here's another chance for some obstacle pain. and remains, you know, that they're veterans for a reason, you know.
Yeah, they don't just like fly
Reimer
into
leads the squad
asteroids.
well. This is not his first tango. Can he do it? It looks like it might be a failed action. Or does it fit? Wow. Just nestled in there.
That's
Very
like
impressive.
an optical illusion to me.
Yeah, it's hard to tell from here, but there must be a little space in there we
Yep.
can't see. Is that Reimer?
I
can't tell.
Can't tell.
Yeah, I can't tell
I
either.
think it's an initiative 3, so it's probably
I can't coordinate nothing, so
Gamma Squadron maybe. But I can't tell.
reload. Yeah.
Just checking.
Oh man, we're.
It's my only saving grace here.
I was like, I haven't been to too many X-wing tournaments, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody break out their phone flashlight to check to see.
So quick.
And the gunrunner takes a little bit of pain here. Oh no! So sad. So sad.
All right. One die. Leave these to you guys. So yeah, 2 die at 2 has.
I gotta say, I love the
20
look
cards
of the space tug.
Yes.
I think it's a really, really cool design.
Let's go for the range 1 then. 2 die. Nope.
Oh, so sad.
And all the eyeballs. There it is. Okay.
All right. You
All
know,
right, we'll give in there.
at this point, the gunrunner surrendered to Imperial authorities.
Yep. It's like, all right,
He looked around. He looked around. He said, "You know what? I'll take the spice mines at Kessel."
Yep. You guys did a good job. You hunted me down. It's
And
all she
his
wrote
gun
there.
running days are. But you know, he might escape. He might be back.
It's true. You might have an escape plan now.
That's right. That's right.
It's better than he could say for his buddies.
Certainly true. Certainly true. Well, that was a really entertaining match.
It was,
a lot of
yeah.
fun to watch that kind of, you know, swarm on swarm action. And it's really fascinating to see some of the ships that were among the weaker options in 1.0 really dominating some of these tables. The Jakku Gunrunner, super strong. TIE Bombers, really, really strong, well represented in the finals here. And Lambdas. You know, Lambdas. I mean,
Yes.
there's been the Emperor shuttle archetype for a while,
Of
but
course,
that was largely on the strength of Palpatine. These Lambdas are getting work done just on their own merit.
Exactly.
They don't
yeah.
even need crew to handle this business.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see like a lot of different stuff going on with Lambdas.
Absolutely.
I'm really happy to see like a lot of different strategies. You know, you've got the tractor tokens, you've got ships that can ionize stuff. I think we've seen just about everything at this tournament. So
We certainly have.
and it's all been pretty viable. So
Yeah, it's been a really entertaining tournament. Tons of different lists. That was the one of 2 scum lists that just got knocked out. We'll have a report back in here shortly before 3:15 when we're back. We'll let you know how the other games shook down. We may have another scum in the fight. We may have a rebel player in the fight, or it might be all Imperials. Well, it could be Imperial dominance here. So we'll see what happens. We'll check in with those games, and we'll be back at 3:15 with the top 4 results. So stay tuned.
thanks a lot.